Good morning, Mr. Sinha, and thank you so very much for joining the Sustainability Network of the Free Press Journal. We are very excited to have with us Dr. Praveer Sinha, MD and CEO of Tata Power Company. We're going to chat about sustainability, your journey on transitioning from a current world to a better world, and we're going to talk about what are the things that are really bothering you right now and what are the things that are giving you a little hope. I'll start with asking you about the sector because you're leading one of India's largest power companies at a time when the hopes and aspirations of 1 billion people are riding on development that depends on rising power demand. And simultaneously, you're also going to be trying to decarbonize at the same time. What is the journey like right now for you? Can you tell us a little bit?
First of all, thank you, Kavita, and the Free Press Journal for the opportunity. Well, this is a very interesting time, and today we live in a time where there are a whole lot of changes, whole lot of disruptions are happening. And you mentioned about the growth aspect, and then the necessity that how do we ensure that this growth is also a green growth, and will it be possible to do that, because both of them are possibly two different aspects. But I think the way the technology has changed in last 10 years, it has given us an opportunity that we can have growth, and at the same time we can use some of the smarter and newer technologies which enables us to use more of clean energy, and we are very excited about it. Tata Power has been doing pioneering work in this space. There are 3 Ds that I always talk about. The first is, and this is the technology intervention or technology innovation that has happened. The first is about the decarbonization. We never had solutions which were cost effective, because power is something which is consumed by everyone in urban areas, in rural areas, by rich, by poor, by industries, by domestic users, by commercial establishment. So it needs to be affordable, and that's why the decarbonization today gives us an affordable solution of using clean energy, whether it is solar or wind or hydro or pumped hydro, and some of the newer solutions which we expect to come in future, the green hydrogen and the electric storage, the battery storage. And I think all of them put together is giving an option. Not that we have a perfect option ready, but we are slowly moving towards that. The second is the decentralization. Earlier it used to be very large stations, large generations, large transmission, large distribution. Now it is a decentralized environment in which we can live. You can generate locally, you can generate in villages, in cities, in semi-urban areas. So there is an opportunity that we can really decarbonize, and where your need of power is there, we can be able to set up these generating stations. So it's more closer to the consumer of power. And the third area is the digital technology, whereby digital technology gives you accurate information on real-time basis as to how much is the utilization. There is no necessity to create additional capacity which does not get utilized, because you then have a capacity which is suboptimally utilized. Digital technology gives us information on what is the actual consumption, and then you can do the generation based on that. So I think the technology, the 3 Ds which I mentioned, is giving us an opportunity to meet the future growth, and also at the same time do this future growth with sustainable, with green, with the renewable solutions, which was not feasible 20, 30 years back. So I think we are in very good shape. From Tata Power aspect, we work on all these areas. Many of the areas are absolutely state of the art and are new technologies. We've done a lot of iterations in many of these spaces, and we are finding very good solutions, and very confident that in next 10 years, the vision of having 24/7 clean energy solutions will be there, and it will be there at an affordable price, which can be scaled up to any part of the country.
Right. Tell us a little bit about what are the achievements that Tata Power has already notched up in your journey towards net zero by 2045. That's your target. So, what have been the big milestones that you have already achieved? Also, tell us what has been the most difficult to achieve, both in terms of as a company and as a sustainability professional in a world where a very large country is trying to make an impact on these numbers globally. So, tell us about the milestones and the difficulties.
So we started moving in this direction about 4 years back. The first pledge that we took that we will not do any fresh investment in coal-based plants, and all new investment will happen in renewable energy. And I think that was a very, very bold step that we took. There was no Indian utility who had come openly and said that we pledge that we will move towards renewable energy and a clean energy solution. And I can tell you that in last 4 years, we've added huge amount of capacity, and all the capacity additions that we have done have been in the clean energy space. So today we have nearly 4 gigawatt of clean energy solutions, renewable energy solutions, out of which 3 gigawatt is solar and 1 gigawatt is wind. Apart from that, we also have hydropower plant. So out of our portfolio of nearly total of 14 gigawatt, 37% is non-carbon solution, and 60 and the balance 63 is today the carbon solutions. But this is changing, and we expect that by 2030, nearly 70%, more than two-thirds of our portfolio will be from clean energy solutions, and only 30%, little less than one-third, will be from carbon solutions. And by 2045, of course, we'll become 100% green. So I think there has been a huge amount of effort that has been made in transitioning and driving many of the things. And when we talk about clean energy, we are setting up a greenfield manufacturing plant of 4 gigawatt. It's a cell and a module factory with nearly 3,500 crores of investment. We are setting up large utility scale solar and wind solutions and solar solutions, hybrid solutions are there. We are setting up large plants for our commercial and industrial consumers under the group captive route. We also do large amount of rooftop solar, solar pumps, microgrids. So I think we offer a variety of services to our customers for the type of usage that they want to do. And the purpose is that, again, we provide them good solutions, we provide them good clean energy solutions, and we ensure that we not only set up these facilities but also operate and maintain for them. I think the biggest challenge when you transition in something disruptive like this is the mindset change and the question mark that renewable is there, but will it meet our 24/7 requirement? What happens when the sun is not there? What happens when the wind speed is not there? How do you create a solution which is a cost-effective solution and is reliable? If tomorrow, for whatever reason, there is no sun or there is no wind, then what happens? So I think there are a whole lot of solutions that we need to come up with, and this provides opportunity to bring certain amount of disruption and innovation in the way that we produce power and supply power. And that's what is the great thing that we are transitioning to. Tata Power has been a leader always in trying new solutions, new technology. And what we are doing in this is something unique. We try many new things. In many we succeed, but in few we fail also. But I think we always keep on innovating to come up with smart and better solutions.
For the benefit of our viewers, could you just tell us what would be the answer that you give any consumer who asks you today, what if there is not enough wind power? What if there is no sunlight? How will I continue to get 24/7 power? What is the best solution that you can give them today?
So in power systems, we are always taught that you need to have n-1 and n-2 solution. Suppose the supply from one place goes away, what do you do with the alternate? If it goes away from the second one also, what do you do with the third one? And I think that's what we have been working over a period of time, that we come up with hybrid solutions. We have solar during daytime, we have wind during nighttime. We use electrical storage, which stores power, whether it is during daytime or nighttime, and can be used during periods when there is no supply of solar or wind. We also do pump storage, we also do hydro. So what we do is we provide a whole lot of integrated solutions. We also do something known as demand side management and demand response, whereby we control demand during periods when the supply is less or is not there, by staggering the usage of energy in terms of only using very critical loads during such periods, and the non-critical are moved to the period when the sun will come or when the wind speeds are there. So I think hybrid solutions today are available, and digital technology helps us to do all these load management on real-time basis. And as I mentioned to you, many of these are decentralized. So you have decentralized interconnected solutions which are able to help us to provide solutions. You would have heard recently that people are talking about electric vehicles where you charge the battery. There is a reverse also of this, and there is an option that from the battery you can give it back to the grid. So vehicle to grid also can happen. So battery is to that extent a virtual power plant and can supply to the grid when none of the other supplies are there. So I think the options are many. It's a question of how do we integrate and come up with solutions which is able to ensure not only consistency of supply but also reliability and resilience to take care of any contingency.
That's about power generation and green power and a green energy portfolio. What about emissions and reducing GHG emissions? How far has Tata Power been able to achieve some success in actually cutting your emissions? Do you have a roadmap that goes forward, and what would be the big steps that you'd have to take going forward?
So there are a whole lot of programs, and it is not just about the GHG, but it is also of how do you what do you do with the solid waste management, liquid effluents and all that. And many of our programs are that how do we transition from our waste that gets generated in power plants. They can be solid or they can be liquid or air emissions which is there. For air, we have now put FGDs in various of our plants, and in some it is under implementation. In case of water, we do 100% recycling, and we expect that by 2030 we will be water positive in all our plants. Similarly, on solid waste management, in power plants you produce ash, and 100% utilization of ash takes place. So I think a whole lot of initiatives have been taken, and we expect that by 2030 all these initiatives will see that we are able to take care of at least our solid and liquid effluents, which will be treated and which will be reused in various places. So the roadmap is very clear that we need to transition and move, and we need to do it very quickly.
Could you just explain water positive? That was a phrase that you just mentioned. Could you just explain what that means?
Yeah, so what happens is when you get water and you utilize in the plant, you need to ensure that 100% is recycled and it is treated, and it can be used for any application, including for drinking purpose. It becomes a potable water. So there is virtually no wastage of water. So once the water goes into the plant, there is no wastage. And you also do something known as rainwater harvesting. So you actually become water positive because you're not taking water from the system, from the local municipal corporations or river. But once a certain quantum of water is collected, you use, reuse, and if there is any evaporation loss, then you make good from the rainwater that you have harvested.
That's great. Tell us a little bit about the other aspects of ESG. We've spoken a bit about environment. Tell us a little bit about S and G. What is it on social and governance that Tata Power is able to do that will be important in moving to a better world and a more just world?
So on the social, we have the SDG targets that we have set for ourselves. And the objective is that how do we connect with the communities and how do we empower them. So most of our programs are related to women and are related to children. So how do we make them, give them education, do we provide them opportunities whereby they become entrepreneurs or get employment opportunities. And all our programs are focused in this direction. For children, we do tutorial programs so that they do better in their classes. Vocational training programs helps the children to learn new skill sets, whether it is in terms of any skill sets which will help them to carry out their vocation, or it is even in terms of the digital skill sets that are required for carrying out work. Similarly, we carry out many programs through connecting the women through the self-help group programs and all that. A women literacy program where we empower the women so that they become self-confident and self-sufficient in carrying out their activities, and the social respect that they get in the community and with their family. So I think all our programs are very, very closely measured, calibrated and monitored to see that the economic condition of the people who are impacted by the program improves. And we monitor this very closely as to how their economic income has increased and how they have benefited in terms of their lifestyle and improvement in their knowledge base. So I think our programs are very, very structured programs through the 4 E's that we follow. And we have seen a phenomenal amount of improvement and connect with the communities. On the G part of it, we have a very strong structure. Part of the Tata Group, we strongly believe in lots of processes and systems which helps us to ensure that there is always a proper checks and balances in the system. We have a very strong board with nearly 50% of our board members being independent board directors, and also there is adequate representation to the women directors. So I think as a group we are very strongly committed that the governance standards are top of the line, and these are platinum standards of governance, and we ensure that in every activity that we carry out it is done the right way and also seen to be done the right way.
In terms of policy from the government, as someone who is not just CEO and MD of Tata Power, but is also a very committed sustainability leader for industry as a whole in India, what is it that you would like to have from government in terms of policy, in terms of assistance, in terms of standards to measure, monitor? If you had a magic lamp and you were to get the top 5 wishes granted right now in terms of what industry as a whole in India needs?
So let me tell you that I also work with CII and head the National Committee on Power and also the Western Region CII. And we work very closely with the government. Power sector is a highly regulated business. And there is a lot of government support and a lot of regulatory support that is required. And the 2030 targets are very ambitious, 2070 targets are very ambitious, and that's why there is a huge need to work very quickly and very fast. And a lot of things that we have mentioned to the government, that how do we ensure that the availability of green power to the consumers are there, whether it is through the rooftop or through the commercial and industrial activity where we can provide them under open access or group captive proposal. The government has always been supporting and has been ensuring through various incentives, whether it is in terms of the interstate transmission that is given free of cost, or very many other programs where the government ensure that we are able to expedite or catalyze the implementation of the project. So I think there is a huge amount of interaction that takes place, and the government rises to the occasion and has been supporting. Uh, it can always do more, and when we talk of government, it's both the central government and the state government. It can always be little more, it can always be much little faster, but I think there is a genuine desire everywhere, and that how do we make it more simple and more user friendly, developer friendly, consumer friendly solutions, and hopefully many of the solutions that are being discussed will get implemented much faster. So I would say that this is a regular activity. What 5 things I will ask today will get done in next 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And again, next month I will go with another 5 things, because we all want this to happen, and we want the green transition to become a game changer for the country. So everyone asks me that what is the big thing that India has. So like oil was for Middle East and very many other countries, the sun is the new oil for India. And I think that gives us the opportunity to really leverage and take forward the whole agenda of green and sustainable energy.
I have a couple of last questions. One is about the World Met Organization saying that 1.5 degrees might not be met, the target might not be met, and that we might exceed that target. As an industry leader, what does that make you feel about industry, worldwide industry, being unable to rise to the challenge?
The last IPCC report very clearly says we've crossed 1.5. We are already at 2. And the United Nations Secretary General has himself said that it's code red. So I think we've already in the code red zone. And we can see the type of climate changes which are happening globally, as also in our country. And I can give you a lot of statistics in terms of how many extreme weather conditions have happened in last 20 years, or how many have happened in last 50 years, vis-a-vis the previous 50 years or the previous 100 years. So I think we are living in a world with borrowed time. And for us, whatever we need to do it today, and because we've missed yesterday. And we definitely have to do a lot of things and have to do big things. These cannot be just tokenisms, but we need to actually take the big step. And this will also call for sacrifice. There will be a price that one will have to pay. There will be also a sacrifice that people have to do in terms of learning to live with little less and not wasting. So I think there is a huge burden on all of us. Otherwise, we'll live a very bad world for our children and our grandchildren. So I think there is a responsibility, and we did run a very big campaign last 1 year. We took this program of how do we teach our children, our youngsters, about the necessity to make sustainable way of life in everything that we do. And I think this campaign has to continue. This campaign has to also get a lot of others involved, including our younger generation. And this has to become like a movement. Then only we'll be able to make the transition and make a change that we want.
It also brings me to my last question, which is about a just transition for a world that is extremely unequal and that is likely to be more unequal as the climate crisis worsens. Both in the power sector and in other sectors of industry, the transition to a green world will involve the loss of livelihoods for some kind of jobs. There would be some people who would continue to be dependent on carbon emitting industries for much longer than we would want. How do we build consensus as a country and within industry for a transition to a better world that is also a just an equitable transition for everyone?
I think we only have one planet in which life form is there. And I think while it's good to talk about the just transition, it is also an opportunity for us to do something which is disruptive and is change from the normal. They are hard to abate sectors. They need to possibly put their foot on the accelerator and see that what changes are there. There will be some costly solutions, but I think it's time that we take certain hits and say that what is right is important and not just doing something which will make us some extra money. So there is a necessity that people have to take ownership, and they have to be accountable for it. And that also means that people who have the resources need to support other nations, other countries which do not have resources. There has to be more action than talk, which many times we get carried away with. We need to walk the talk also. So there is a lot to do, and let's start working towards that.